I'm trying to change up my glasses and whatnot.
Oh, I noticed.
No, you didn't.
I know.
I only like Brian in this room.
Because you love Michael.
Oh, Lisa's completed.
What does that mean? Lisa. Who's Lisa?
Lise.
Oh, thank the Lord.
All right, Mike and Linda show, episode 3. Do they hate each other?
Yes! Yes!
All right, action in 3, 2.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. So it's that time of week again. You know, obviously we are so excited to do this show every single week. Tell you the truth, I mean, many of you guys may not know, even though we work together and we live together and we raise kids together, just
That's
having
a lot
time,
of togetherness.
having time together to sit like this and actually have a one-on-one, it's very few, not far between, but just the few moments in the day. I mean, chances are we're very busy with operating our own the side of the business that we're running, but at the same time, we actually don't have much time for each other. So when we do, we make the best of it. So which is a really good way to start the show, because today we're talking about how do we actually make it work in terms of our relationship outside of work and also our relationship inside of work. So in other words, we're business partners, but also life partners, also parents and husband and wife and mom and dad, right? So it's one of those things where today's episode will be about how do we make it work. So first of all, let's break down what we define as a relationship, and I'll ask you first. I mean, what do you define as a relationship in terms of what are your thoughts on it?
In regards to us or in regards to any relationship?
Anything.
A relationship definitely between any person or people must include effort. Mm-hmm. I think having a relationship means quality effort, like good intentional effort, not just show up and just be there and just not listen. That's not really putting the effort.
Hey, some people don't even show up. I've seen that before.
Yes,
yeah.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's the main thing for me. Just show up, but be present. Mm-hmm. And if you care about somebody, you care about making a relationship work, you actually need to put in a good amount of time, a good amount of energy, and just, well, for you, I just love you so much. And
you do?
Oh. Can you cut that? I think that slipped.
No, that's going to be the trailer for the video.
See, I'm getting all red. I don't like that.
You're naturally red. You're so rosy.
Stop it.
Okay,
You're making
anyway.
me feel funny.
My definition of a relationship, regardless of what it is, whether you're in love with someone, whether you're in a relationship with someone, or if you're in a relationship with your business, or if you have a relationship with your mom or your dad, your brother, your sister, your kids, whatever, your dog, your pets, your bird, life in general, relationship is what I feel inside. What I feel that person or that thing that I feel as if I have a relationship with, how that person makes me feel. Obviously what you're saying is true. I mean, it obviously requires effort from something else or from someone else or for that person to make me feel a certain way. So it definitely is a two-way street. But at the end of the day, I find it more important that I feel happy with that person, that I feel in love with that person, that I feel inclined to want to do more for that person.
Are you talking about me? It better be. It was really good.
So that, to me, that's my definition. Obviously, everyone's definition is different, right? Because some people need more and some people want to give more, and it's a give and take relationship. So to me, that's what a true relationship is. Now, for this week's episode, I really want to talk about how do we, right? Because we can only talk on between me and you, right? It's very hard when we try to. I generally do not like it when people try to throw a blanket statement out there, because I've been preaching this since day one, since I've did the Geminar, that to each their own,
yes.
Right? There's really no right or wrong answer. Everyone is a little different. So today's episode is just really how we do it.
What works for us.
What works for us, and if it helps you guys out, then great. I mean, that's the whole point of this episode, and the whole point of this show is for those that inspire to go out and create a business for themselves with their significant other, then hopefully what we do here can may help you out. And if you find that useful, then great. And if you don't find that useful, then at least, there's some information as to how we do things, right? And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I haven't done that yet. So I've been watching this one guy on YouTube, and he does it all the time, and his likes and subscriptions has been going up. So every now and then I'm going to throw that in.
You do you, boo.
All right, so that being said, what I would like to do is just kind of break down, first of all, we've already talked about relationships, but the second thing too is I want to talk about the common types of situations that we may run into from day to day that may deter us from actually spending time together, may deter us from actually, resolving an issue together, and how do we actually make it work, right? So this episode, I'm going to give a few tips on what I do. And then Linda will also have a few hopefully helpful tips on what she does. And to tell you the truth, we do not know each other's lists, so this is going to be, I wanted this to be as organic as possible. So by doing that, I have no clue what she wrote, and she doesn't have a clue what I wrote. But
that is such a lie. He started reading my list, and then I had to change my list.
I did not read your list. I don't even know what you wrote. No.
The first one you did. You read it, and then
Oh, yes, the first one, because I want. That's true. No, that's true. I read the first one only because I wanted to make sure that she's writing about what she does, not what I do for her. Right? So I wanted to make sure that what she does for the relationship to make it work on her end, and what I do for the relationship to make it work on my end, as opposed to what she does for me.
I can't wait to hear this.
Okay, so
see how good his list is. Let me see if I agree with it.
All right, so I'm having fun today. Now
we shall see.
Getting spicy today, y'all.
Go.
All right, so how do you want to do this? You want to do one on one, and or
I don't know. I'm just gonna go with your flow, and if I'll change my answers as I see fit. Just saying.
You can't just change your answers.
I'm just saying.
That's not fun. All right, so tip number 1. All right, so today I do want to definitely focus more on our personal relationship as opposed to the business relationship, right? Because, and I'll just give you a preface as to how our day typically starts. We both wake up. Typically, I'll do my thing early in the morning. She takes care of the kids, prep them, and then, during school hours, we'll drive them to school. I usually will go to work earlier, and then she'll stop by after all the kids have been dropped off at school. But during the summertime, there's obviously a different schedule. That being said, afterwards, our day is usually very busy. We take out many fires. She's on the operations side. I'm on the sales and marketing side. So I'm constantly working on new and innovative projects. She's constantly working on making sure that the business flows and operates as smoothly as possible. If you run a business that you already know, there's no such thing as a business without issues or problems to solve. And that's what a business basically is to solve other people's problems, right? That's the reason why people basically buy your products and services, to help solve their problem. Now, that being said, that's on the business end. But what I want to talk about is, what do we do during work hours? What do we do before work hours and after work hours to continue to build a strong relationship? Because many people do wonder, and even our friends, they do wonder all of the time, is one of the negative connotations of a married couple or a couple that's together is, how do you work together and live together? Don't you want to be apart and have your own time? Don't you drive each other crazy?
That's
how does that even work?
Question.
Is there any advice as to how to do it? I mean, I don't know. There are people that says, I would never do that because I don't know if I want to be with, not that I don't love the other person, but I don't know if I want to spend that much time 24/7, 365 with the person. So how do you do it? All right, so my first thing is this, okay? So if I'm going to pick one thing out of this, the number one thing, first and foremost, is that you have to make sure that you spice up the relationship by being spontaneous, right?
Ooh,
so
I like that
in other words, when there's a fixed schedule, right? If there's a fixed schedule, you know what you're supposed to do when you wake up in the morning, and how you do work during the day, and then the end of the day, and it keeps going on like that for weeks and months and years and multiple years.
Jeez,
and it becomes,
sounds like, oh.
Right. If you don't throw in something spontaneous every day, every week, every month, then and you don't spice things up, it may become dull and bland and boring, right? So by being spontaneous, what I basically mean is, hey, I'll just call, usually we may take lunch at noon, right? Maybe we might want to go eat at a restaurant that we eat on a weekly basis, and it's the same restaurant every Monday or so. Every now and then, I'll just say, well, let's just not go have lunch today, but instead, let's just go to the mall. And get you something that you need. And she typically loves wearing glasses, right? So we'll just go to the mall and just shop some new glasses for her and just change it up a little bit. Little things like that are very small, right? But then it brings a little more spice to the schedule. It's just something different that you do not pre-plan, right? And for just little things like that goes a long way, because then you get to talk about other things. You get to actually conversate about something that is not normally in the everyday schedule. I think that's extremely important when you bring up the small things in life, because then that's what builds the bigger picture. So that's my first helpful hint. What do you think?
I think that was very nice. I like that one. Are we going to do that today?
I don't like your word nice.
What
Nice can mean either way. That might be a nice way of saying that was not too good.
It's all right.
Okay.
So, wait, are you going to go through your entire list?
No,
or my
go
turn?
ahead. Your turn.
So for me, when it comes to us, I feel like as much as we work together and as much as we see each other, I think what we do a great job at, or what you make a really good... I am not going to read it. My list is better anyway. Well, what I think I really love about what we do, or make an effort of doing, a really good effort at doing, is...
Phone away. I always end up touching it.
Is we still date each other. And I really love that when I get into the mode, or when I start feeling like, okay, we have a really cute thing, even if it's for lunch, it's like a really cute lunch date. And I feel like when I get to do these things, it's like you're my boyfriend again. And I actually still refer to him as my boyfriend every now and again. I know. I need to remember to sit up too. But and then I actually really like calling you my boyfriend, because sometimes when I do that, I get to feel like I'm a little extra cute or silly, and then young again.
You are young.
And then lunch is over, and then we go back to work. But yes.
I like that. Okay. So yeah, continue to date each other.
Yeah, that's very important.
That's the truth though. We actually do go on dates.
Yeah.
Right. We do. And we still really have a good time with each other, as if we first met. I think.
I don't know how that's possible. 16 years? I don't know how it's been 16 years, and you can still feel like, oh, it feels like we've only been together for 2 years, and we're still going out like, hey, let's go try this new restaurant. Let's just go blah, 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 and then we'll just have the greatest time. And I have the greatest time when I get to go eat with him. I don't know why. Food just tastes so much better. It's true. Don't get too big-headed about this.
Okay.
That was easy.
Okay.
Moving on.
I think I have to agree with that. We do date each other. We actually date each other quite a bit. We drop off the kids sometimes. We'll have a lunch together, dinner or whatever. Every now and then we'll make sure that we sneak in the time.
Yeah.
Because. And the crazy thing is, I know it sounds repetitive, but it's so true, because the crazy thing is that people would naturally think, I would assume, that if you see each other from morning to night every single day, since you work and live together, that you'll be kind of tired of each other. But the truth of the matter is that even though we're together in the same space physically, we're not there all the time emotionally and mentally, because we are truly running different sides of the business.
We don't really see each other.
And Brian could even attest to this. I mean, he's right behind the camera, but we don't even see each other sometimes. She's in her office, I'm in my office, unless it's like lunchtime, then boom, that's our little time together. And after we come back, we barely even see each other. And sometimes, when we do see each other, it's usually resolving an issue. And sometimes if the issue is not solved, we're kind of going at each other. So trying to figure out how to solve this issue, right? So, but the weird thing is, right after work, or if we have time together, it's like, let's hold hands and light a candle.
Okay, first of all, I don't know where the candle came from, but that's never happened. But
I was thinking about a dinner table. That's a little romantic. I'm not talking. Never mind.
Okay, fast forward.
Okay, so
it's funny because before you guys used to share a wall when you moved into this office, and
that's right.
Things moved around, and now you guys are still on the same side per se, but on opposite corners of the building.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So you're. Yeah.
I have to let him miss me somehow. The distance helps, right?
Yeah.
Like an extra 10 feet.
All right, so let me go into my point number 2. I actually have 5 bullet points for you all, okay? So
I only have 4.
Yeah, 4.
That's all I can think of.
Okay, so I obviously do more for you than you do for me.
No, I think I just do it so much that it's become so normal, I can't pick it apart. But go on.
Okay. So, point number 2, it's a little more about me, what I do for me, but it's really for her. Okay, so
Ooh, this should be
so one of the
good.
things that I do, one of my I guess habits that I do on a very regular basis is I wake up very early in the morning to work out. Okay, so I
4
want to make
a.m.
sure that I take care of myself. I make sure that, it's one of those things where I feel is important in a relationship. I feel that it's important that you take care of yourself. I feel that's important that you continue to strive to be the better version of yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, right? But from a physical standpoint, I have a certain standard that I want to make sure that I have a certain physique. I want to make sure that I maintain a certain amount of youth, because especially now for her and for our children, right? I want to make sure that I can still play with them. I want to make sure that I can still hang out with them and still have the same energy that they have because they're very young. But I still want to make sure that I still, am attractive to her, right? So,
That is so nice.
So I mean, I think it's extremely important. So even though it's for me, it's really for my family, for
Did you say
my
it's really
wife.
for me?
I mean-
Didn't he just start that he's working on his fitness for me?
Well, I mean, I think everything that my philosophy is very strange, where I feel like everything is derived from your inner self. But when you want more for other people, you have to take care of yourself first, right? So in other words, there are a lot of people that I've talked to in life where they say they want to do more for the family, the friends, and stuff like that. But how can they do more if they're not taking care of themselves first, right? So for me, I always feel as if in order to be selfless, you have to be selfish, right? So in other words, I take care of myself
That's
so
a nice
that she could be happy with what she sees every day, so that the company that we're building can see the amount of energy I'm putting into the company, so that my kids can see that I am the role model that they want to be when they grow up. So that but it all starts from within. So I would say that my second helpful tip is to make sure you take care of yourself first, and then everything else will come along. And even in a relationship, I feel as if she's obviously we're still attracted to each other, but it takes more work as you get older, right? Before, when I was in my 20s, I mean, I could just eat whatever I want. I mean, I've always cared to go to the gym and work out and stuff, but these days I have to work extra hard, right, to keep those pounds off, right? And I think so it's one of those things I had to make sure, no matter how busy I am in the day, I have to fit that in, regardless if it's waking up 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, or whenever. It has to be fit within the schedule. So that's helpful tip number 2.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
It's a great tip.
Yeah.
Just for context, then, how do you feel that because you're prioritizing that, how does that go back and enrich the relationship?
I feel that definitely enriches the relationship because it does 2 things. It makes me feel good about myself, which allows me to be more pleasant around her. And naturally, I think if she was, obviously attraction is huge. And I think in any relationship, to be attracted to each other, I think personally, I mean, it's not for everyone. I don't want to throw a blanket statement out there, but for me personally, I think being attracted to your partner, your significant other, your wife, your husband, whatever, it's an important thing about being in a relationship. And I think that definitely enriched our relationship from that standpoint as well, to be next to each other and still be physically attracted to each other.
And it's true, though. I mean, that is also my number 2, self-maintenance. Seriously.
I told you looked at my...
I did not!
Oh my...
Well, anyway, I do want to tell you that I do appreciate it. It's one of those things that I'm so glad I don't have to be reminding him or telling him that, I need you to go to the gym. No, it's not. It's never been a thing that I have to worry about, and I love that I don't have to think about it because it's already being done, and he cares about himself to just do it all on his own. But on my side, I actually feel the same way. I think that's what helps our relationship so much, being still so attracted to each other. And I don't know if he notices. No, I actually wrote down that he does notice. But self-maintenance is very important. And I always try, for me personally, to leave the house looking a little cute. Okay, but on the days...
She doesn't have to try very hard, obviously, you could tell.
I like him again. But
Brian's throwing up in the background.
How come earlier he threw a compliment at you and you wanted me to cut it out? Now it's okay.
Because I believe it.
Good
Like
question,
earlier,
Brian.
he was just like saying
Good question,
anything.
Brian.
Whatever.
We need more questions like that.
Well,
Hey, I
anyway.
don't choose sides. If you say
Where's
something, I'll choose
EJ?
you.
Where's EJ?
EJ's on
He's in the
vacation.
Philippines.
I know. But seriously though, I mean, I find it very important to to take care of yourself as a woman, as a man. I think when you do it, when you look good, I think you just feel good. And for me, when I don't look good, I really don't feel good, which is so, I don't know if anyone can relate, but that's how I personally feel.
I could totally relate, and it's just one of those things where it's not even about being shallow. It's about having.
I know, I don't want to come off that way.
Right,
That's
it's not
definitely how I
about being
wanna come
shallow
off.
at all, because you and I, we're not shallow people, but what
Wouldn't
we,
shallow people say that?
well, no, I think there's a fine line in anything, right? I think we just have certain standards, and we have certain attractions, right? So I'm attracted to a certain look. I'm attracted to a certain vibe, energy. I'm attracted to certain.
I'm getting so hot in here right now.
Lord Jesus.
Yeah, Lord Jesus.
I'm
But
doing the sign of the
seriously,
cross. You guys
like
can see it.
seriously though, like for me, leaving the house looking good is something I try to do every day. Like I mean, to my standard, looking good. But I know I do notice that every time I add that little extra something, he always notices. And when he does, it makes me feel so giddy. Like, it's cool.
No, I get it. I mean, I see what you're kind of trying to skirt the line, because it's like it's hard to say we focus on looks without it
Being,
sounding
yeah.
right. But from what I'm getting, and I hopefully listeners are also getting, is that you're putting effort, one, for self-care.
Yes.
Right.
Two, the confidence and uplifting your own confidence allows you, like you said, to be more pleasant to your partner.
Right.
And two,
Absolutely.
kind of it also benefits them, because then it's like, hey,
I mean, listen.
I'm so proud to be walking around with him as my
No.
arm candy.
No, I mean, listen. Who doesn't like to look good? I mean, it's not about being shallow. Everyone wants to be the best version of themselves, right? So
Right.
that's exactly what we mean, right? So that's what we mean at the end of the day, and
So
it's just-
same page.
Same page, okay.
Same page.
Different page, same bullet point. You obviously copied.
But I mean, and it's also true that like when you love someone, you don't want to see that they're not taking care of themselves,
Right.
too. So there's that too. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's taking care of himself. He loves himself.
That's a great
And
point.
he feels
I
good
love
and he's
him.
happy.
I love
And I
her,
want to
yeah.
see that in him whenever I can. And I love seeing that. And when I don't see that, that's when it's kind of like a red flag. Like, okay,
And
what is going on?
And here's the one thing about working out a lot is the one benefit of it's not just the physical form. Like it makes you feel good mentally and emotionally. So you feel good on the inside too. When you go to work, you have an extra pep in your step. When you go to work, you have more energy. Your mind is clearer. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like they call it a runner's high, right? So it's one of those things where it just really makes you feel like when you go to
Yeah.
work, you're ready for the day, right? So that's why I usually like to work out in the mornings if I can, as opposed to after work, because I want to go into work feeling that energy, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, so that being said,
That makes sense too. Sorry, because like
Go ahead.
when you feel good about yourself,
Yeah.
and then it's like actually, on the opposite, when you don't feel good about yourself, you can have a bad attitude,
Of
Right.
course.
which can affect the
Exactly.
relationship.
Yes.
Because it's like, oh, like you
Yes.
feel really insecure about yourself, and then you don't want to do anything with your partner, and then
Right.
but when you both feel good about yourselves,
It helps.
you see it in
Right.
yourself and you see it in the other person. You're like, oh, we both look good together, and then there's like that excitement, and then it's like Linda, you said, it also brings back that kind of like boyfriend girlfriend kind of like
It does.
he noticed me kind of thing.
Yes.
Right.
I like that. I felt like I wanted to step in and make sure that that point was clear, because like it's a good point. It's a good thing, like to make sure you take care of yourself, because it can affect the dynamic and how in a positive way.
Absolutely. I mean, just to continue to emphasize on that point, when you feel good about yourself, you are able to have better attitude. You're able to really come off
See things with a better,
with more of a positive energy,
Yes.
with more of that type of
Optimism.
state of mind,
Yes.
optimism, right? And it really it's true. And when people say that your body, right, it's not just the physical form, it's the emotional form, the mental form, the spiritual form, whatever. It depends on your faith and belief or whatever, you know. But the point of the matter is that some people feel great on the inside, but they're not happy with how they look on the outside. Some people look great on the outside, but they're not happy with the way they feel on the inside. So, but when you can somehow, hopefully, create a formula where you're taking care of all of that, then you can really come off as that type of energy, or that like the best way I want to say is that the role model that I want to be for my kids, right? I want to be the example that I want to be as a parent, right? So that being said, I think that's extremely important, and that's what I do for myself, but in all reality is really what I'm trying to do for the people that I love and care about, which is my wife, my kids, our business, are the people that work here at Fire and Brilliance. Without me putting out my best effort, then really it's going to be hard to maintain a good relationship. So
you're appreciated, for sure.
Okay.
What's your number 3? Go.
My number 3 is I believe in this. Okay, so I believe there's a saying, and I'm sure everyone's already heard it. It's work hard and play hard, right? And there are people out there that work very hard. We are very hard workers, and there are people out there that plays too much and don't work at all, right? But there are people out there that work their whole lives and never got to see a vacation in their life, right? So the thing about
so sad.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very sad, and I see this with my own eyes. I've seen it in my own family.
And it's not even sometimes by their choice. It's just what
circumstances
yes.
and situations but then I'm saying what I'm speaking on is for people that can do both, but they choose to do one or the other, right? And again, there's no right or wrong answer. This is just what I do for our relationship, and this is just my tip for those that wants to listen, right? So, I talked to my dad about 6 months ago, and he basically said something that really resonated with me, and it's something that I've always felt internally anyway, but it just really confirms it because, many of you guys may not know, my parents are divorced, and so my dad is kind of like my mentor, even though he doesn't live with me, but, he gives me life advice from time to time. And we were just kind of talking for, quite a long time. I don't talk to him too often, but this one time I was on the phone with him for about 2 hours, and he was just telling me, because he noticed that I've been working a lot and working hard, many hours, just over the last couple of years to build this business to where it's at today. And he gave me this piece of advice, and he said, son, I know that you're doing everything you can to get to where you want to be. And he was all for it, but he told me, every now and then you make sure you take a step back and enjoy a little bit, right? Because if there's work, there must be play too. And what he means by that is, enjoy it while you're still young. And the reason why he said that was he said this, and it's something that he spoke to me in Vietnamese, but there's also a saying in English that's almost the same thing. But what he said to me was, when you're really young, you have a lot of time and energy, but you don't have the money to do much. Mm-hmm. When you are in your midlife, you will start to you still have a lot of energy and you'll make some more money, but you're not going to find that time to enjoy it. And then later on in your life, you may have already accumulated a good amount of money, and you will have a lot of time because you may be retired, you may no longer be working, but at that point in time, many people basically lost their energy and their health. So what he's trying to say to me is, right now, make sure you enjoy it while you still have your youth on your side, because he said he's in his 60s at the moment, and thank God he's still pretty healthy, and he still travels and does his thing. But he told me he has a lot of friends and family members and people that he knows that are wealthier, that has a lot of time now, that's retired, but they don't have the energy. Their legs don't work the same. They have ankle joint pains. They have issues with their health problems where they need medication. They don't feel confident that if they're to travel outside of the U.S., that the healthcare system over there may help them if something should happen. Those type of things. He said these are the worries that older people end up worrying about when they travel. So what I made sure that I did this year was that I wanted to make sure that I intentionally plan a few short vacations for my family, for my wife, for our kids, so that when they can enjoy it, because just like that, Matthew was just born and now he's like 7.5, right? So it just flies by like that. It just flies by like that, and it's insane. It's mind-boggling how fast time truly flies, and he's not gonna, my son and my daughter and even my wife, but maybe my wife more so will understand our struggles through building a business, but my kids, they won't know that. What they're going to remember when we're a lot older and when they're older is the times we spent with them, not how much money we made or how big of a business we built, right? So that's more or less something that my wife and I will probably talk about, but to our kids, it's extremely important that we spend that quality time with them, because running a business is not, and I say this all the time because it's true. Running a business, you are in business because you're solving other people's problems. People will only pay you if you're solving the problems, if you're giving value back, right? So many times I'm working through the night, and many times my daughter is telling me, "Why are you working so much? Let's play," and stuff like that. And there are many times where I have to tell them that I have to work, and I feel very bad, but that's just the life of owning a business. You have to do certain things in order to maintain and run a healthy business, and so to make up for these moments, I want to make sure that I carve out some time throughout the year to spend time with them. And when I say vacations, I don't mean that we have to go on a trip far away out of the country, out of state, or whatever. A vacation could simply mean to just spend a few days in the city that you live in. Take them to the park, to the local theme park. Maybe take them. We live in San Jose, so we're an hour away from San Francisco. Maybe just drive up to San Francisco, or go cherry picking, or go to Napa Valley, whatever it is, right? To just spend a little bit of quality time. And that's what I mean by taking a short break, a little holiday, a vacation with the people that you love and care about. And that's something that I want to make sure that we constantly do on a yearly and annual basis, to make sure that although we work hard, but we make sure that we spend time with each other as well. And that's part of, that's a helpful tip number 3 with Linda and I. Yeah, what I do for us and our family.
I know, and I know you feel so passionately about this, but do you realize that a lot of this is stemming from what your mom did when you were a kid? Mm-hmm. Like the type of, the fact that she made the effort during her, during that time where life may have been a lot more chaotic for her, and she still made the effort of making sure her kids felt the fun that they should feel annually. And I think whatever you were describing to me at that point in time is exactly what you're basically saying that you want to have your kids feel.
Right.
And it's so special and it's so important, and I think that's something that you just never the words never change, the feelings, the emotions just never change. You had such good memories with your mom when you are able to talk about it.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because it's true. I think that's something that's probably playing in my subconscious, that my mom did it for me and had such fond memories that I want to be able to also do for our kids, right? The times when my mom took myself and our siblings to on vacation was probably the hardest time of her life. My parents were not very fond of each other at that point in time. So for her to deal with that and deal with running a business, she's also an entrepreneur, and at the same time was able to find the effort and energy to take us out on vacation, and that was the escape that she gave us while we were going through the hard times that we were too, right? So yes, I definitely feel like that's definitely a big impact, because I want to be able to provide that for our kids, so that when our kids are older and they look back, that they could always reflect on us of what we did for them, so that they had fond memories of us,
and
right?
They do.
And which is the most important thing to me.
We love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's definitely very important. Just quality time with the people that you actually love and care about. So that's helpful tip number 3. I would say that's extremely, extremely important for our relationship, is to find that quality time with each other. Now, that being said, do you have another tip?
I have just one more, but that really just kind of blew mine out of the water. My girly tip for anyone that actually either still does it or hasn't done it, or maybe I don't know. I mean, it's something that I do because I used to do it a lot more when we were going to school together, but I still leave you little love notes, and I leave them in the most random places. So if it's not notes, it's his keys, because he's always losing his keys. And the one place, wallet. And the thing that, some people don't know is he forgets it all the time when he leaves to wherever. And what I've noticed is, since he goes to work or goes to the gym so early, in order for me to make sure I catch him and not have him forget, let's just say, lunch or snacks, I would leave his keys and his wallet in the refrigerator. Mm-hmm. So if I made him something and I wanted him to make sure, he will not leave. He cannot leave without his keys. So he has to go and find it. And usually if he doesn't know where it is, he'll remember, did she tell me something from the night before that I need to get? And usually it will lead him to the refrigerator. Or I'll leave a love note right in front of his dash. Because sometimes it's like those moments where, he needs to take a step back and just remember. And I think those are the perfect little opportunities that I can just doodle a little something. And then I don't know what you do with it. Do you save it? Do you put it in a little box with a little bow with my name and heart on it?
Would you hate me if I told you I don't?
No, I expected that.
No, but I mean, I know she does. She'll leave me a little note in front of the dashboard before I drive off to the gym in the morning, and I'm like, she'll do little things like that. And she does it also for her kids too. She'll put in their lunch
every
bag,
lunch if they want
lunch bag,
lunch.
and just a joke or two and something
Just
like
so
that.
you know what? Okay, for that it's because my kid is learning how to read, and I really wanted to make sure that if I give him something interesting to read, then he's gonna try harder to kind of sound out the words. And those are the times I put little jokes, little riddles, and it actually made him a little popular, because now all the kids wait for him to take out his note and ask him, "What did your mom write? What's the funny joke?" So it turned out to be a really fun thing, but now he's.
You're like that hot mom that all the boys wants to talk to.
But first of all,
every time we go to school, all the little boys run up to you. It's just
and the little girls. And the little girls too.
So I love that. Now my point number 4 is very close to that. It's about the small things, right? So
small things.
sometimes you do so much for each other that you forget about the small things, and it's just like when you first started dating and you compliment each other and you talk about each other and you try to make each other feel good and you try to get to know each other. I still do that. I compliment her all the time. Brian could attest to it. She's not very good at taking compliments. I mean, today you're actually much more receptive.
She's filming.
She's much more receptive today, but usually she'll just kind of,
Like, what does he want today?
like, what do you want? What do you want? So little things, small things, like compliments, help each other around the house, right?
Yes, it goes a long way, seriously.
Have good food, just like cook at home together, make a sandwich for each other. If you find that she's thirsty, when you go and you get yourself a glass of water, also get her a glass of water, whatever she prefers to drink, right? Ask her what she needs. Ask her if there's something that you could do for her.
And you do that all the time.
Ask her, can you help out with the kids? Ask her, like those little things will go a long way.
Yes.
and make your wife, in my case, my wife, appreciate that you actually care. Okay, so that's my tip number 4. But since I have more tips than you, I'm gonna go to the 5th one.
Okay, fine.
All right,
the last
so
one was your last one.
I know.
all right. Well, she had 4. I have 5. See that? That's 5. I got 5 fingers. I got 5 tips.
Oh my!
I have 10 fingers actually. 5 fingers on my left hand. But
Cut that one out. Okay.
The last tip is probably the first tip I should have given, but I wanted to save the best for last, right? What I do for our relationship that I really think drives who we are as people is that I continue to dream. I have been dreaming since I was a kid, and I'm still dreaming now. Many times I see in my own friends and family that they stop dreaming, they stop having that sparkle in their eyes, they stop, life gets hard, life gets tough, and sometimes you have to look for that brighter thing, that light at the end of the tunnel. And I continue to dream. I continue to have visions. I continue to think, oh, where we can take the next level, where we can take the business, where we can take our family, what we can do to be better, what we can do to have a better life, what we can do to make our company better, what we can do to help our staff out, what can we do to better the quality of the lives of the people around us, what can we do to make our products and services better, what can we do. I'm constantly dreaming. I'm constantly saying, oh, what we can do to make our social media pages better, or anything better, or what we can do to where else we can explore, what other food we can eat, what we can do, what we can create, what kind of jewelry we can make. Maybe we can implement this, maybe we can integrate that.
Yeah.
I'm constantly dreaming, and I constantly have an open mind. So I think that dream and that vision really, really helps our relationship, because it brings it much more flavor, I would say, right? So if you're eating a turkey sandwich every single day for your whole life and you never knew what bologna or salami or pastrami tasted like, the first day that you try pastrami, you may be, whoa, what is this, right? So that's what I feel as if I'm constantly doing in our life, because I really don't like to be in a situations where it's stagnant. So hopefully, this actually helps you out with your life and your relationship. If there's 5 tips and you can't do all 5, you can't integrate all 5, you can't implement all 5 at the same time, I would say the number one thing that probably will really spice up and keep a relationship going. All of these points are something that I constantly do on an everyday basis, but to continue to dream and to continue to build this vision and this hope for the future with your loved ones, it's probably one of the biggest things that you could carry through life, because it's so beautiful when you can try to manifest something into reality, if you will. And it's just a beautiful thing when you see it come to fruition. So dreaming is huge for me, and she knows that. I've always been a dreamer since she met me. I'm constantly dreaming.
It's the most amazing thing when you see that fire that's in his eyes, and you know that his heart is just going to just be so passionate about it. It's basically nothing better to see in someone that you love, because they're just so excited about life. And I think it just fuels me to be a better wife, a better person, a better version of me when I see that, because I don't have to remind him to try to be a better version of himself. He's already doing that on his own. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. All right, so that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode. Hopefully you guys liked it. Again, this is how we do things. It may not be how you guys do things, but let us know if this is something that you feel has been useful to you. What do you think about the 5 tips? What do you think about my 5 tips? And what do you think about her 4 tips? What do you think about our 9 tips together? Maybe you could add an additional tip to that to make a complete 10. Leave it in the comments below, okay? So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let us know, again, what you like, what you don't like, what you recommend. We constantly take your feedback, because we know that in order to better ourselves, we have to also understand what people like. And really, at the end of the day, this is truly, hopefully, brought some value to you, your relationship. If you're thinking about or being inspired to open your own business with your significant other,
it can work.
Hopefully this helps you out. And that's really what we're trying to do at the end of the day. So that being said, thanks again for tuning in, and goodbye.
Bye.